The Farmer's Gift, A Journey of Apples and Kindness. Part 1. The Farmer and Her Orchard. Once upon a time, in a peaceful little village nestled at the foot of rolling hills, there lived a kind and gentle farmer named Ella. Her home stood at the edge of the village, just before the land sloped upward into a valley filled with trees, an orchard that was the heart of Ella's life. This orchard wasn't just any ordinary orchard. It was special, almost magical. Its apple trees were tall and strong, with branches that stretched toward the sky like arms reaching for the sun. Each tree bore the most beautiful apples, round and shiny, glowing like red lanterns in the sunlight. Ella had grown up in this village, and the orchard had been in her family for generations. Her parents had cared for it, their parents before them, and now it was Ella's turn. She loved the orchard dearly, tending to each tree as if it were an old friend. Every morning, she'd rise with the sun, the soft pink light of dawn spilling across the horizon, and she would walk among the trees, humming gentle tunes as she checked on the apples. The trees seemed to hum back in the breeze, their leaves rustling as if whispering secrets to Ella. The apples, too, seemed to have their own magic. They were sweeter and juicier than any apples anyone had ever tasted, and no one could quite explain why. Some said it was the rich soil in the valley. Others believed that Ella's care and love for the trees made the fruit special. But there was one thing everyone agreed on. Ella's apples were the pride of the village. Every year, the orchard's bounty was enough to feed not only Ella, but many of the villagers as well. She would fill baskets with the bright red apples and bring them to the village square, sharing them with her neighbors. People would gather around, smiling and thanking her, and Ella would wave them off, saying, "There's plenty for everyone. Take as many as you need." One early autumn morning, as Ella made her usual rounds through the orchard, she noticed something strange. A basket of apples she had picked the day before was gone. She scratched her head, thinking she might have misplaced it, but after looking around, it was clear. Someone had taken the apples during the night. At first, a little pang of sadness tugged at her heart. After all, she worked hard to care for her orchard, and it didn't seem fair that someone would sneak in and take the fruit without asking. But as she stood there in the quiet of the morning, the soft chirping of birds filling the air, she took a deep breath. Ella was not one to hold grudges or let anger take root in her heart. Instead, she sat down beneath her favorite apple tree, its branches heavy with ripe fruit, and thought about what she could do. She remembered something her mother used to say, "Kindness grows like the trees in our orchard. If you give it water and sunlight, it will grow tall and strong." Her mother had taught her that being kind, even when things seemed unfair, was like planting seeds. And so, as she sat there, the sunlight filtering through the leaves and casting golden patterns on the ground, Ella decided on a simple plan. Later that day, she went to her little barn where she kept some old wood and paint. With careful strokes, she painted a sign. It wasn't anything fancy, just a small wooden board with a message in bright, friendly letters. When she was done, she smiled at the words she had written. "The apples are free, but please leave some for everyone." The next morning, just as the sun was rising, Ella took her new sign and hammered it into the ground at the entrance to the orchard. She stood back to admire her work. The sign was plain, but the message was clear. Ella hoped that whoever had taken the apples would see it and understand. She wasn't angry. She didn't want to chase them away. Instead, she wanted them to know that the apples were there for everyone, and there was no need to sneak around in the dark. As she stood there, feeling the cool morning breeze on her face, Ella realized she felt lighter. It wasn't just about the apples. It was about trust. She loved her orchard, and she loved the people in her village. If sharing the apples brought them joy, then that was enough for her. Days passed, and Ella continued her routine of caring for the orchard, but something had changed. Word of the sign spread through the village, and people began to talk. At first, some were confused. Why would she give away the apples for free? They wondered. Others thought it was a clever trick. Maybe she's just being polite, but she doesn't really mean it, a few murmured. But as the days went on, people began to see that Ella's message was sincere. The apples were free, and she trusted the villagers to take only what they needed. Slowly, people started visiting the orchard more often. Families would come on quiet afternoons, bringing their children to pick apples together. The children would laugh and chase each other through the rows of trees, their baskets filling with the bright red fruit. Ella would watch from a distance, her heart swelling with happiness. The orchard became a gathering place for the village, a peaceful spot where people could come together. Some would bring blankets and have picnics under the trees, sharing stories and laughter. Others would sit in silence, enjoying the soft rustling of the leaves and the sweet scent of apples in the air. And something even more wonderful began to happen. Not only did people stop stealing the apples, but they also started leaving apples behind. It began with 1 or 2 villagers who, after picking a basket of apples, would leave an extra apple at the base of one of the trees as a way of saying thank you. Soon, others joined in, and before long, people were bringing apples from their own trees to share with the orchard. The one simple sign now had a deeper meaning. It wasn't just about taking, but about giving, too. Ella's orchard, which had always been a special place, was now filled with a new kind of magic. It wasn't just the apples that made it special, it was the kindness that had taken root there. The trees, which had always been tall and strong, seemed to glow even brighter under the care of the villagers. The orchard was no longer just Ella's. It belonged to everyone. One evening, as the sun dipped low in the sky and the shadows of the trees stretched long across the grass, Ella sat beneath her favorite tree once more. She looked out at the orchard, now filled with the quiet sounds of the wind and the soft murmur of the village children playing nearby. She smiled to herself, knowing that her small act of kindness had blossomed into something far greater than she had ever imagined. And so, the orchard continued to grow, not just with apples, but with love and generosity, each day a little brighter than the one before. Part 2. The Curious Village Children. The orchard, with its sweet apples and gentle breezes, had become the heart of the village, and Ella's sign was a quiet reminder of her generosity. The message, written in bright, welcoming letters, was clear to everyone who visited. The apples are free, but please leave some for everyone. But while most of the villagers appreciated this gesture, there was one group who found the sign particularly intriguing: the children of the village. Children are, after all, the most curious and adventurous of all, and in this village, they were no different. The apple orchard had always been a place where they could explore, run, and let their imagination soar. But now, with Ella's sign posted at the entrance, it became more than just a place to play. It was a place of mystery and magic, a place where kindness could be found in the form of shiny red apples hanging from the branches. The leader of this group of children was a bright-eyed girl named Lily. She was about 10 years old, with a heart full of wonder and a mind full of questions. Lily loved to explore the village and its surroundings, but the orchard had always been her favorite place. She loved the way the sunlight filtered through the trees, casting golden patterns on the grass, and she especially loved the apples. They were sweeter and juicier than any other apples she had ever tasted, and each time she bit into one, it felt like a burst of sunshine on her tongue. Lily had heard the adults talking about Ella's sign, and she was curious. She wondered why Ella would give the apples away for free. After all, the orchard was her livelihood, wasn't it? Didn't she need to sell the apples to make a living? And more than that, how could Ella trust that people would leave some for others? What if someone took all the apples? What if the trees stopped growing apples one day? These questions buzzed in Lily's mind like a swarm of bees, and she couldn't wait to find out more. One warm afternoon, after school, Lily gathered her group of friends and announced her plan. "Let's go to the orchard," she said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "We can see the apples for ourselves and figure out why Ella is giving them away." Her friends, who were just as curious as Lily, eagerly agreed. There was Emma, a quiet but clever girl with a head full of wild curls, and Tom, a boy with boundless energy and a mischievous grin. Then there was Jamie, the youngest of the group, who was shy but always ready to follow Lily on her adventures. The four of them set off toward the orchard, their footsteps light with anticipation. As they walked, Lily couldn't help but think about Ella. She had seen the farmer many times before, always working quietly in her orchard or chatting with the other villagers. Ella had a kind face, with soft eyes that crinkled at the corners when she smiled. But there was something about her, something gentle and wise, that made Lily wonder if there was more to the farmer than met the eye. When they reached the orchard, the sun was just beginning to dip toward the horizon, casting a warm golden glow over the trees. The air was filled with the sweet scent of apples, and the leaves rustled softly in the breeze. The orchard was so peaceful that for a moment, the children just stood there, taking it all in. "There it is," Lily said, pointing to the wooden sign near the entrance. The sign swayed slightly in the breeze, its bright letters standing out against the weathered wood. "The apples are free, but please leave some for everyone." Tom, who was always the first to speak his mind, tilted his head and frowned. "It's weird, isn't it?" he said. "I mean, why would she just give them away? Why not sell them?" Emma, who was more thoughtful, shook her head. "Maybe she doesn't need the money," she said. "Or maybe she just wants to share." Lily nodded. "I think it's about more than just the apples," she said. "Maybe it's a way to show that she trusts us, that she believes we'll do the right thing." Jamie, who had been quiet until now, tugged on Lily's sleeve. "But what if someone takes too many?" he asked in a small voice. "What if there aren't any left?" Lily smiled and knelt down beside Jamie. "That's the thing," she said. "It's up to us to make sure that doesn't happen. If everyone takes only what they need and leaves some for others, there will always be enough." The children stood in silence for a moment, considering Lily's words. Then, with a sense of purpose, they stepped into the orchard. As they walked between the rows of apple trees, their shoes crunching softly on the fallen leaves, they couldn't help but marvel at the beauty around them. The trees seemed to go on forever, their branches heavy with apples that glowed like jewels in the late afternoon sun. Birds flitted from branch to branch, chirping happily, and the gentle breeze carried the sweet scent of ripening fruit. Lily, leading the way, stopped beneath one of the tallest trees. "Look at these apples," she said, her voice filled with awe. "They're perfect." And they were. The apples were round and plump, their skins smooth and shiny. They hung low from the branches, practically begging to be picked. Tom, never one to waste time, reached up and grabbed an apple. "Well, if they're free, we might as well try one," he said, taking a big bite. The others followed suit, each of them reaching for an apple and taking a bite. The taste was just as they had imagined, sweet, crisp, and bursting with flavor. For a moment, all they could do was stand there, savoring the taste of the apples and the peacefulness of the orchard. But soon, their curiosity returned. Lily glanced around, her eyes searching the orchard. "Do you think anyone else is here?" she asked. "I mean, people must be coming to take apples, right?" Emma nodded. "Maybe they come early in the morning," she suggested, "before we get here." Tom shrugged. "Or maybe they come at night," he said, grinning mischievously, sneaking around, grabbing all the apples. Jamie's eyes widened. "You don't think someone's stealing them, do you?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Lily shook her head. I don't think so, she said. Ella wouldn't put up a sign like that if she thought people would steal. She trusts us. But even as she said it, Lily couldn't help but wonder. The apples were free, yes, but what if someone did take more than their fair share? What if someone didn't follow Ella's simple request to leave some for others? As they continued to explore the orchard, the children talked about the apples, the sign, and what it all meant. Each of them had their own ideas about why Ella was so generous and why she trusted the villagers to be fair. Emma, always the practical one, believed that Ella was simply a kind person who wanted to share her bounty with the village. She has more than enough apples, Emma said. She doesn't need to sell them, and she knows that by sharing, she's helping everyone. Tom, on the other hand, thought there might be something more to it. Maybe there's a secret behind the apples, he said, his eyes gleaming with excitement. Maybe they're magical, and that's why she's giving them away. Lily laughed. Magical apples? Really, Tom? She said, shaking her head. But Tom wasn't discouraged. Think about it, he insisted. These apples are the best in the whole village, maybe even the whole world. What if there's something special about them? Something that makes them different? Lily, who had always had a love for stories and imagination, paused. Could Tom be right? Could there be something magical about Ella's apples? After all, the orchard did have a certain peacefulness, a sense of wonder that was hard to explain. I don't know, Lily said slowly. Maybe there is something special about the apples. Or maybe it's just that Ella's so kind. Kindness can feel like magic sometimes. Jamie, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. I think it's both, he said softly. The apples are special, and so is Ella. And maybe her kindness makes the apples taste even better. The others smiled at Jamie's words, nodding in agreement. There was something about Ella, something about the orchard, that made it all feel a little magical. As the sun began to sink lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the orchard, Lily glanced at the basket she had brought with her. It was half full of apples, and she suddenly remembered the sign. The apples are free, but leave some for everyone. We should probably head back soon, she said, looking around at her friends. We've picked enough apples, and we don't want to take too many. The others nodded, and together, they made their way back toward the entrance of the orchard, their baskets filled with bright red apples. As they passed Ella's sign, Lily stopped and looked at it for a moment, a thoughtful expression on her face. What are you thinking about? Emma asked, noticing the look on Lily's face. I'm just wondering, Lily said slowly. Do you think other people are following the sign? Do you think they're only taking what they need? Tom shrugged. I hope so, he said. But you never know. Lily nodded. Yeah, she said quietly. You never know. As they left the orchard and headed back toward the village, the children were silent for a while, each of them lost in their own thoughts. The orchard had always been a special place to them, but now it felt even more important. It wasn't just about the apples anymore. It was about trust, kindness, and fairness. It was about doing the right thing, even when no one was watching. That night, as Lily lay in bed, her mind was still buzzing with thoughts about the orchard, the apples, and Ella's simple but powerful message. She couldn't stop thinking about what it all meant and whether the villagers were really following Ella's request to leave some apples for others. But even as her mind raced, Lily felt a sense of peace. There was something comforting about the orchard, something that made her believe that, in the end, everything would be okay. Ella had trusted the villagers, and Lily believed that, for the most part, people would do the right thing. Still, there was a part of her that couldn't help but wonder, what would happen if someone didn't? And with that question lingering in her mind, Lily drifted off to sleep, her dreams filled with apple trees, golden sunlight, and the quiet magic of kindness. Part 3. The Mysterious Stranger. The sun rose early over the village the next morning, casting a soft, golden light across the hills and fields. Dew sparkled on the grass, and the cool morning air carried the scent of fresh apples. For Ella, this was always the best part of the day, the quiet stillness before the village came to life. She loved to walk through her orchard at dawn, feeling the world slowly wake up around her. As she walked among the trees that morning, inspecting the apples and humming a gentle tune, something caught her eye. A basket of apples, more than she remembered leaving out the night before, sat at the base of one of the trees. She paused, frowning slightly. Who had left this? Ella's orchard had been a place of giving for some time now. Ever since she put up the sign, "The apples are free, but please leave some for everyone," people had been coming and going, picking apples and leaving a few behind as a thank you. But this basket was different. It was neatly woven, with a soft cloth draped over the top to protect the apples from the morning dew. It was filled to the brim with perfectly ripe apples, each one carefully placed, as if someone had gone to great lengths to make the basket as beautiful as possible. Ella crouched down and lifted the cloth. The apples inside were not from her orchard. Their deep red color and slightly smaller size were unlike any apples she had ever grown. They smelled sweet, almost like honey. She picked one up, rolling it in her hand thoughtfully. Who could have left these? As she stood there, a soft breeze stirred the leaves overhead, making the trees whisper as if sharing secrets. Ella glanced around, half expecting to see someone standing at the edge of the orchard, but there was no one. Just the quiet of the morning and the soft rustle of the apple trees. Ella didn't know what to make of it. She had always trusted the villagers to respect the orchard, and over time, they had proven themselves to be thoughtful and kind. But this basket, it felt like a gift, a mysterious one. She decided to leave it where it was, hoping that maybe, by the end of the day, the person who had left it would come back. Perhaps they wanted to trade, or maybe they had a message to share. Either way, Ella was intrigued. That same morning, Lily was restless. After their adventure in the orchard the day before, she couldn't stop thinking about the apples, the sign, and what it all meant. She had shared some of the apples with her family, and her mother had smiled as she bit into one of the crisp, juicy fruits. "These apples are as good as ever," her mother said, "and Ella is such a kind woman to share them with the village." Lily nodded but couldn't help the questions swirling in her mind. "Do you think everyone's following the sign, Mom?" she asked, her voice quiet. Her mother looked at her thoughtfully. "I'd like to think so," she replied. "Ella trusts the village, and I believe most people will do the right thing. But there's always a chance that someone might take more than they should. That's why Ella's sign is so important. It reminds us that kindness is a choice, and it's up to each of us to decide how we'll act." Lily thought about her mother's words as she finished her breakfast. The orchard had become more than just a place to pick apples. It was a symbol of trust and generosity. But what if someone broke that trust? What if someone wasn't as kind as Ella believed they would be? Determined to find out more, Lily gathered her friends again later that morning. Emma, Tom, and Jamie were already waiting for her at the edge of the village, their baskets in hand, ready for another trip to the orchard. "Do you think we'll see anything strange today?" Tom asked, his eyes gleaming with excitement. He had always loved a good mystery, and ever since the idea of magical apples had popped into his head, he had been eager to explore the orchard even more. Lily shrugged, but her heart raced with anticipation. "I don't know," she admitted, "but something about the orchard feels different lately. We should keep our eyes open." As the group made their way to the orchard, the air felt charged with a sense of something new, something unexpected. When they arrived at the orchard's entrance, they saw Ella standing near the rows of trees, examining a basket of apples that looked different from the others. "What's she doing?" Jamie asked in a whisper. Lily narrowed her eyes. "I'm not sure," she said. "Let's get closer." The four children approached quietly, not wanting to disturb Ella, but their curiosity was too strong to resist. As they drew nearer, they could see the basket of unfamiliar apples sitting at the base of one of the trees. "Those aren't from the orchard," Emma said softly, her sharp eyes catching the difference right away. "Look at them. They're smaller and their colors deeper." Ella looked up from the basket just then and smiled warmly at the children. "Good morning, you four," she said. "What brings you to the orchard today?" "We wanted to pick some more apples," Lily said, glancing curiously at the basket near Ella's feet. "But, where did those come from?" Ella's smile faded slightly, and she looked down at the basket. "That's what I've been wondering, too," she said. "I found them here this morning. Someone must have left them during the night." "Why would someone leave apples in your orchard?" Tom asked, crossing his arms. "That's kind of strange, isn't it?"
Ella nodded slowly.
"It is strange," she agreed. "But I don't think it's anything bad. It feels more like a gift, though I don't know who left it." Lily knelt beside the basket, examining the apples more closely. They were beautiful, and their sweet scent filled the air. She picked one up and held it out to Ella. "Do you think they're safe to eat?" Ella hesitated for a moment, but then nodded. "I believe so. Whoever left them didn't mean any harm. And besides, apples are apples, right?" With a small, reassuring smile, Ella took the apple from Lily and took a careful bite. The children watched, holding their breath, as Ella chewed thoughtfully. After a moment, her eyes lit up and she smiled. "They're delicious," she said. "Sweeter than any apple I've ever tasted." The children relaxed, and Tom immediately reached for an apple of his own. He took a big bite, his eyes widening in delight. "These are good," he exclaimed, his mouth full. One by one, the others tried the apples, and soon they were all nodding in agreement. The mysterious apples were unlike any they had tasted before, sweeter, juicier, and somehow more satisfying. "Whoever left these must know a lot about apples," Emma said, her brow furrowed in thought. "I wonder where they're from." Ella shook her head. "I've never seen apples like this in any of the nearby villages," she said. "But I'll admit, I'm curious. I'd like to know who left them." Lily's mind raced with possibilities. Could the apples have come from a stranger passing through the village? Or perhaps someone from a far-off place where the trees grew differently? There was no way to know for sure, but one thing was certain. Whoever had left the apples wanted to share something special. Over the next few days, more baskets of mysterious apples appeared in the orchard. Each morning, Ella would find them carefully placed beneath different trees, always neatly arranged and covered with a cloth to keep them fresh. The villagers began to notice, too, and soon the orchard was buzzing with whispers about the mysterious apples. Who could be leaving them? People wondered aloud as they picked their own apples from Ella's trees.
And why?
What do they want? The children, especially Lily, were determined to find out. Every day after school, they would visit the orchard, hoping to catch a glimpse of the person or people leaving the apples. But no matter how hard they tried, they never saw anyone. The apples would appear in the night, and by morning, the baskets would be waiting, filled with a sweet, honey-scented fruit. One afternoon, as the children sat beneath one of the apple trees, munching on their snacks and discussing the mystery, Jamie spoke up. "What if it's not a person leaving the apples?" he said, his voice quiet but serious. The others looked at him in surprise. "What do you mean?"
Tom asked.
"Of course it's a person. Who else could it be?" Jamie hesitated, glancing around at the trees. "What if it's the orchard?" he whispered. "What if the trees are giving the apples to Ella?" There was a brief silence as the others considered Jamie's words. "The orchard?" Emma repeated, frowning. "How could the trees do that?" "I don't know," Jamie admitted, looking down at his half-eaten apple. "But the trees already grow the apples, right? Maybe they're trying to help Ella. Maybe they want to share, just like she does." Lily tilted her head, thinking. There was something about Jamie's idea that made sense in a strange, magical way. The orchard had always felt special, almost alive, with its gentle whispers and the way the leaves rustled in the breeze. Could it be possible that the trees were somehow giving more than just fruit? Could they be part of the kindness Ella had started with her sign? I like that idea, Jamie, Lily said, a smile spreading across her face. Maybe the orchard is magical, and it wants to help Ella share with everyone. The others nodded in agreement, their imaginations ignited by the thought. It could be like a secret, Emma suggested, her eyes sparkling. The trees could be working together with Ella, sharing their gifts with the village. It's kind of like a fairy tale. Tom grinned.
Yeah.
Maybe the trees are alive at night, talking and planning how to spread joy to the village. We just can't see them. The children laughed at the idea, their spirits lifted by the possibility of a magical orchard that came to life when the moon rose high in the sky. But even as they played with the thought, Lily felt a sense of urgency bubbling inside her. They needed to figure out who was leaving the mysterious apples and how they connected to the magic of the orchard. As the days turned into weeks, the buzz about the mysterious apples spread throughout the village. More villagers visited Ella's orchard, eager to partake in the delicious fruits, and every time they arrived, they found new baskets filled with apples waiting for them. One evening, while the children were resting in the shade, they spotted Ella walking through the orchard, her expression contemplative. She was examining the baskets left by the trees, her brow furrowed in thought. Let's go talk to her, Lily suggested, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. Maybe she knows something we don't. The others nodded, and they made their way over to Ella. As they approached, she looked up and smiled, but there was a hint of worry in her eyes. Hello, my little friends. Ella greeted them warmly. What brings you to the orchard today? Ella, we've been wondering about the apples, Lily said, her voice earnest. We've seen so many baskets, and we're curious about who's leaving them. Ella sighed softly, her gaze drifting toward the trees. I wish I knew, but I can't seem to figure it out, she admitted. Every morning, I find a new basket filled with the most delicious apples, but there's no sign of who might be leaving them. Do you think it could be someone from the village? Emma asked, her brow creased in concern. Maybe they're trying to help you? Ella shook her head. I don't think so. Everyone has been so generous since I put up my sign. I believe the villagers are all doing their best to honor the spirit of kindness, and I doubt anyone would take advantage of it. But I can't shake the feeling that there's something more to it. Lily's heart raced at the thought. What if it's something magical? She blurted out. What if the orchard is sharing its apples, just like you do? Maybe it's a way of giving back. Ella raised an eyebrow, intrigued. You think the orchard could be alive, like the trees are sharing their gifts? Maybe. Tom piped up, his eyes wide. Maybe the apples are a gift to you, Ella, because you're so kind to everyone in the village. The farmer chuckled softly, the worry on her face easing just a little. That's a lovely thought, but I don't know if trees can give gifts like that. They provide the fruit, yes, but sharing? That seems like something people do. But what if they're connected? Jamie chimed in. What if the trees want to help you and everyone in the village too? Ella's expression softened, and she knelt down to look the children in the eyes. You all have such wonderful imaginations. I can see why you love this orchard so much. But whether it's magic or just kindness, what matters is how we all choose to act. If the orchard inspires more giving, then that's truly a beautiful thing. The children exchanged glances, and they could sense that Ella was warming up to their idea. Maybe we should try to find out more, Lily suggested. We can keep watch at night, just like detectives. Great idea, Tom said, bouncing on his heels. We can hide behind the trees and see if we catch anyone in the act. Ella smiled, her eyes glinting with affection for the children. Just be careful and don't stray too far. The orchard is peaceful at night, but it can also be dark. If you do decide to stay, Make sure you have a flashlight and tell your parents where you'll be." The children nodded eagerly, their spirits high. They would become detectives, investigating the mystery of the apples left in the orchard. That night, as the stars twinkled brightly in the sky, Lily, Emma, Tom, and Jamie gathered their supplies, a flashlight, some snacks, and warm blankets, and made their way back to the orchard. The air was crisp, and the moon hung high, casting a silvery light over the trees. Everything felt magical. "Where do you think we should hide?" Lily asked, her heart racing with excitement. "Let's hide behind that big tree over there." Tom pointed to a sturdy apple tree with wide branches. "It'll give us a good view of the whole orchard." The children scampered over to the tree and settled in behind its thick trunk, peeking out through the leaves. They turned off their flashlight, and the only sound was the gentle rustling of the leaves in the breeze and the occasional chirp of crickets. As they sat there, anticipation buzzing in the air, the children whispered among themselves, their voices barely above a whisper. They talked about the apples, their favorite things about the orchard, and what they hoped to discover that night. "I really think we'll see something amazing," Lily said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Maybe even the person leaving the apples." Hours passed as they waited in silence, the cool night air wrapping around them like a blanket. At first, they were full of energy, but soon the stillness of the orchard began to calm them. The soft sounds of the night made them feel sleepy, but they were determined to stay awake. Just as Lily was beginning to think they might have to try again another night, a rustling sound broke through the peaceful silence. All four children immediately stiffened, their eyes wide with surprise. "Did you hear that?" Jamie whispered, his voice barely audible. "Yeah," Tom said, nodding. "It's coming from over there." Lily strained her ears, and sure enough, she heard a soft noise, the sound of leaves crunching underfoot. It was coming from the direction of the nearby apple trees, where Ella had found the mysterious baskets. "What if it's the person leaving the apples?" Emma whispered, her heart racing with excitement. The children held their breath, their eyes fixed on the area where the noise had come from. They waited, barely daring to move, as the sound grew closer. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, the rustling stopped. For a moment, everything was quiet, and the children exchanged worried glances. "What should we do?" Jamie asked, his voice trembling slightly. "We should check it out," Lily said, her voice steady despite her own nerves. "Let's be brave." Taking a deep breath, the children slowly made their way toward the noise, staying low and trying to be as quiet as possible. As they reached the edge of the trees, they peered out into the orchard. And there, in the silvery moonlight, they saw something unexpected. A figure was crouched beneath one of the apple trees, arranging baskets filled with apples. The children squinted, trying to see more clearly, and their hearts raced as they realized the figure was a woman. It was a stranger, dressed in a long cloak that swayed gently with the breeze. The woman moved gracefully, her hands delicately placing the apples in the baskets, as if she were an artist crafting something beautiful. The children exchanged stunned glances. Who was she? Why was she here? Suddenly, the woman straightened up and turned her head slightly, as if sensing that she was being watched. The children ducked behind the nearest tree, their hearts pounding in their chests. "What do we do?" Emma whispered urgently. "We can't just leave. We need to find out who she is," Tom insisted, his eyes shining with curiosity. But before they could decide on their next move, the woman spoke, her voice soft and melodic. "I know you're there, little ones," she said, her tone calm and inviting. "You don't need to hide." Lily's heart raced as she realized the woman had seen them. Taking a deep breath, she stepped out from behind the tree, her friends following suit. "Who are you?" Lily asked, her voice steady despite her nerves. The woman smiled warmly, her eyes sparkling like stars. "I am Mira," she said, her voice gentle. "I've been coming to this orchard for some time now." "Why?" Tom blurted out, unable to contain his curiosity. "Why are you leaving apples?" Myra's smile widened, and she gestured to the baskets at her feet. "These apples are a gift," she explained. "They come from my own garden, which is far away. I bring them here to share with Ella and the village because I believe in the spirit of kindness she has created." The children blinked in surprise, their mouths agape. "You're giving them away?" Emma asked, her eyes wide. "Yes," Mira replied, nodding. "Just like Ella does. It's important to share what we have with others, especially when we have enough to spare. I've watched Ella's kindness inspire the village, and I wanted to contribute to that spirit." Lily felt a warmth spread through her heart at Myra's words. "That's wonderful," she exclaimed. "But why didn't you tell anyone?" Myra's expression turned thoughtful. "I wanted to keep the magic of the orchard alive, to allow the villagers to believe that kindness can come from unexpected places. Sometimes, it's nice to let the mystery linger a little longer." The children felt a sense of awe wash over them. They had stumbled upon something special, an act of kindness wrapped in mystery, just like a story waiting to be told. "Will you show us your garden?" Jamie asked eagerly, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "I want to see how you grow such amazing apples." Mira laughed softly. "Perhaps one day I will, but for now, my gift is to be shared here. Ella and the villagers are deserving of it." Just then, they heard footsteps approaching. The children's hearts raced as they turned to see Ella walking toward them, a look of surprise on her face when she spotted Mira. "Mira, I didn't know you were here," Ella exclaimed, her voice full of warmth and joy. Mira turned to Ella and smiled. "I've come to share my apples, as I always do. It's wonderful to see you again, dear friend." The two women embraced, and the children watched in awe, their excitement bubbling over. They had uncovered the mystery behind the apples, and it felt like a treasure to behold. As they all gathered together, Ella turned to the children with a knowing smile. "You see, my little detectives, kindness is everywhere, and sometimes it comes from unexpected places. It's up to us to recognize it and share it with the world." Lily grinned, feeling a sense of wonder and belonging. The orchard had become a magical place, filled with love, trust, and a spirit of generosity that reached far beyond its trees. And with Myra's presence, the story of the orchard was about to grow even richer. Part 4. A Festival of Kindness. As the days passed after the night of revelations, the orchard transformed into a gathering place for the villagers. Word spread quickly about the mysterious woman, Mira, and her enchanting apples. The villagers were thrilled, and a sense of community grew even stronger. Everyone was eager to visit the orchard, where they could partake in the gifts that Mira had brought and share in Ella's vision of kindness. One sunny morning, as the birds sang cheerfully overhead, Lily, Tom, Emma, and Jamie gathered in the orchard with Ella and Mira. The children were filled with excitement, their heads spinning with ideas for how to celebrate the newfound spirit of kindness that had blossomed in their village. "What if we throw a festival?" Lily suggested, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. "A festival of kindness to celebrate all the good things happening in the orchard." "I love that idea," Emma exclaimed, bouncing on her toes. "We can invite everyone in the village and share the apples. And we can have games and activities," Tom added, his mind racing with possibilities. There could be apple bobbing, pie-making contests, and even storytelling around the big oak tree. Jamie clapped his hands together, bursting with energy. "And we can ask everyone to bring their favorite dish to share. It'll be a big feast." Ella smiled at their enthusiasm, her heart swelling with pride. "What a wonderful idea, my little friends. A festival would be a beautiful way to honor the spirit of kindness that we've all been cultivating. We can call it the Festival of Apples and Kindness." Mira nodded in agreement. "I would love to help. I can bring my special apple recipes and share them with everyone. Together, we can create a magical day. With their plans set in motion, the children and the women began to brainstorm how to make the festival a success. They divided the tasks among themselves, with each child eager to contribute their ideas. Lily took charge of organizing the games. "I'll create an obstacle course among the trees," she declared, her imagination running wild. "We can have a race to see who can collect the most apples in the fastest time." Tom volunteered to design the decorations. "I'll gather flowers and colorful ribbons to hang in the trees. We can make the orchard look extra special," he said, imagining the vibrant colors dancing in the breeze. Emma was enthusiastic about the storytelling. "I'll make sure we have a cozy spot near the big oak tree, where everyone can sit and listen to stories about kindness and friendship," she said. "We can even ask villagers to share their own stories." Jamie was eager to help with the food. "I'll talk to my mom about making apple pies and snacks for everyone. We can have a whole table of delicious treats," he said, licking his lips at the thought of sweet, warm apple pie. With everyone excitedly working on their tasks, they set a date for the festival 2 weeks away, giving them plenty of time to prepare. The orchard buzzed with energy as villagers pitched in, each person eager to contribute their talents and skills. The days leading up to the festival were filled with laughter and collaboration. Ella's orchard became a hub of activity. The villagers painted signs that read, "Welcome to the Festival of Apples and Kindness," and hung them from the branches of the trees. They strung colorful lights and ribbons from tree to tree, creating a whimsical atmosphere that made the orchard feel like a fairy tale. As the festival day approached, word of the event spread beyond the village, drawing people from neighboring towns. They heard whispers of a magical orchard filled with delicious apples and a community united by kindness. The anticipation grew, and excitement filled the air. On the day of the festival, the sun shone brightly, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves in the trees. The orchard was alive with the sounds of laughter and joy. Villagers set up booths filled with apple-themed treats, from fresh pies to caramel-dipped apples. Children played games, raced through obstacle courses, and shared in the thrill of the day. Lily had turned the obstacle course into a fun adventure. The children dashed between the trees, giggling as they raced to collect apples. Ella watched with pride, knowing the spirit of kindness had blossomed even more within the village. "Look at everyone having fun," she called out, her heart full. "This is exactly what I hoped for." As the day wore on, it was time for the storytelling session under the big oak tree. Emma gathered everyone around, creating a cozy space with blankets and cushions. The sun filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows as people settled down. "Welcome, everyone, to our Festival of Kindness," Emma began, her voice ringing with joy. "Today, we celebrate the magic of kindness and sharing, just like our friend Ella has shown us with her orchard." Cheers erupted from the crowd, and Ella smiled, her heart swelling with love for her community. She had never felt so connected to everyone before. "I'd like to invite anyone who wants to share a story about kindness to come up," Emma said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. One by one, villagers shared their stories. A baker spoke of how she once shared bread with a stranger who was hungry. A teacher recounted a time when her students banded together to help a friend in need. Each story inspired laughter, tears, and applause, weaving a tapestry of warmth and connection among the gathered crowd. Finally, Mira stood up to share her own story. "I come from far away, where kindness is a way of life. I learned that the simplest act of sharing can create ripples of joy," she began, her voice calm and enchanting. "When I first came to this village, I saw the kindness Ella had already sown with her apples. I knew I had to contribute, for kindness is a universal language that transcends borders." The crowd listened in rapt attention, captivated by her words. We must remember that every act of kindness, no matter how small, has the power to change the world around us, Mira concluded, her eyes shining with wisdom. The villagers erupted into applause, feeling the weight of her message resonate within their hearts. They had come together to celebrate the beauty of community, and they would carry that spirit with them long after the festival ended. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the orchard, Ella gathered everyone together for the final celebration. "Thank you all for joining us today," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "Let us always remember the magic of kindness and sharing. May we continue to inspire one another and make our village a place where everyone feels welcome and loved." The crowd cheered, and Lily felt a rush of happiness. They had created something beautiful together, and the orchard had become a symbol of their unity. "Now, it's time for the grand feast," Jamie shouted, his face glowing with excitement. "Let's dig into all the delicious food we've prepared." With that, everyone gathered around the long tables filled with apple pies, apple tarts, and all sorts of delicious dishes. Laughter and chatter filled the air as villagers shared their favorite foods, each bite celebrating the spirit of kindness that had blossomed that day. As they feasted under the stars, Lily looked around and saw the joy on everyone's faces. They had created a day to remember, one that would echo in their hearts forever. Suddenly, Ella stood up with a glint in her eye. "I have one more surprise," she said. "Let's make a toast to kindness." She raised her glass, and everyone followed suit, their cups filled with sparkling apple cider. To kindness, they all cheered together. Lily felt a sense of warmth envelop her, knowing that this festival would be the first of many. The orchard, once a simple place, had blossomed into a magical realm filled with friendship, laughter, and the spirit of giving. As the night continued, the stars twinkled above them like tiny lanterns, and the orchard felt alive with magic. The children gathered around the big oak tree, sharing stories of their own as the adults enjoyed the festivities nearby. "I can't believe how amazing this day has been," Emma said, her eyes wide with wonder. "I love how everyone came together." "It's just like Mira said," Lily added. "Every act of kindness counts." "We should make this a tradition," Tom exclaimed, his eyes sparkling. "Every year, we can celebrate kindness and share with each other." Jamie nodded enthusiastically. "And we can keep inviting new people to join us." As the children chatted and giggled, a feeling of belonging washed over them. They had become part of something bigger, a community united by kindness, where the spirit of giving would always thrive. And as the last remnants of the festival began to fade into the night, the orchard stood as a beacon of hope, reminding them all that kindness was not just a word, it was a way of life. Together, they would continue to nurture that spirit, ensuring that the magic of the orchard would never fade away. Part 5. The Whisper of Autumn. As the sun began to set on the festival of apples and kindness, the cool breeze of autumn whispered through the orchard. The villagers packed up their decorations and remnants of the feast, their hearts still aglow with the warmth of connection. Ella and Mira stood side by side, watching the joyful scene unfold before them, both overwhelmed with gratitude. "Today was magical," Ella said, her eyes sparkling as she turned to Mira. "I've never seen our village come together like this before." Mira smiled, her heart full. "The seeds of kindness you planted have blossomed beautifully, Ella. It's heartening to see how one simple act can ignite a community's spirit." With the festival wrapping up, the villagers expressed their gratitude to Ella and Mira. They hugged the two women, promising to keep the spirit of kindness alive in their hearts. As the last lanterns were hung and the final games were packed away, a sense of fulfillment hung in the air. That night, as Ella prepared to close the orchard for the evening, she felt a sense of hope unlike any other. The orchard had become a sanctuary for kindness, and she was determined to nurture that magic. Days turned into weeks. As the weeks rolled by, the vibrant colors of autumn began to paint the orchard in hues of gold and crimson. The trees, heavy with apples, began to shed their leaves, creating a carpet of color beneath their branches. The village was alive with preparations for the harvest season as families gathered apples and shared their bounty. Lily, Tom, Emma, and Jamie became known as the Orchard Guardians, visiting daily to help Ella with the trees and keep the spirit of kindness alive. They tended to the orchard, picking ripe apples and distributing them among the villagers. The sense of community grew stronger with each passing day, and the villagers began to look forward to their visits. One afternoon, as the children gathered apples, they noticed a strange rustling sound coming from the bushes at the edge of the orchard. What was that? Jamie asked, his eyes wide with curiosity. Maybe it's a rabbit, Tom suggested, peering into the underbrush. Or perhaps a squirrel? Emma chimed in, her imagination soaring. Lily giggled. Let's go find out. With a sense of adventure, the children tiptoed toward the noise, their hearts racing in anticipation. As they approached, they caught sight of a small, scruffy dog tangled in the branches. Its fur was a mix of browns and whites, and it whimpered softly, looking up at them with big, pleading eyes. "Oh no, poor thing," Emma exclaimed, kneeling down beside the dog. "We have to help it." "Be careful," Tom cautioned. "It might be scared." The children worked together, carefully untangling the branches from the little dog's fur. It wagged its tail and nuzzled Emma's hand, grateful for the help. After a few moments, they freed the dog, who jumped up, barking happily.
Look,
"It's so cute," Jamie said, his face lighting up with joy. "Can we keep it?" "I don't think it belongs to anyone," Lily said, looking at the dog's worn collar. "But we can't just leave it here." They decided to take the dog back to Ella. "She'll know what to do," Tom said as they headed toward the orchard house.
ella es compasión.
When they arrived at Ella's house, she was in the kitchen, baking a fresh apple pie. The sweet aroma filled the air, and she looked up with a smile when she saw the children bursting through the door, the little dog wagging its tail excitedly behind them. "What have you got there?" Ella asked, wiping her hands on her apron. "This little pup was stuck in the bushes," Lily explained, gently holding the dog. "We want to help it." Ella knelt down to look at the dog closely. "Oh my, what a sweet little thing. He must have been lost." They gathered around the dog, examining its collar. "It looks like it has a name tag," Emma pointed out, brushing the dirt from the collar. Ella carefully turned it over and read, "Max." "Well, Max, it seems you've found some new friends today," she said warmly, petting the dog's head. "Can we keep him?" Jamie asked eagerly. "He could be our orchard guardian too." Ella smiled, her heart warmed by the children's enthusiasm. "Let's see if we can find his owner first. He might be missing his home." They quickly set to work, posting signs around the village announcing that they had found Max. They included a description and a contact number for Ella, hoping to reunite him with his family. As they put up the signs, the villagers were curious about the little dog. "Oh, I hope his owner finds him soon," said Mrs. Thompson, the baker, as she read one of the signs. "He's a lovely pup."
Days passed.
Days passed, and Max became a part of the village's daily life. The children brought him along to the orchard, where he played in the grass, chasing after butterflies and barking at the occasional squirrel. He brought an air of joy and mischief to the orchard, and the villagers adore him. Despite their fondness for Max, the children still hoped to find his owner. Each day, they checked in with Ella to see if anyone had called, but the calls never came, and slowly, a thought crept into their minds. What if Max was meant to stay with them? One afternoon, as they were sitting in the shade of the big oak tree, Lily looked at her friends. "What if we ask Ella if we can keep him?" Emma's eyes lit up. "That's a great idea. He loves being here and we love having him." Tom nodded, and Jamie said excitedly, "Let's do it." They ran to find Ella, who was picking apples nearby.
Ella.
Lily called out, panting slightly. "Can we talk to you about Max?" Ella paused, brushing the leaves from her hair. "Of course, my dear. What's on your mind?" "We've been thinking. Max doesn't have a home, and he loves being with us. Can we keep him?" Jamie asked, his eyes pleading. Ella smiled gently, understanding the bond the children had formed with the little dog. "I think it's wonderful that you all want to care for him. He's brought so much joy to our lives. But we should still try to find out if he has a family." The children nodded, knowing that Ella's heart was always in the right place. "We can keep looking for a bit longer, but if no one comes forward, we'd love to have him as part of our family," Tom said. Ella agreed, and they continued to spread the word, hoping that Max's owner would soon appear. But as the days turned into weeks, it became clear that Max had found a new family in the children and Ella. A day of decision. As the leaves began to fall and the air turned crisp, the village prepared for the first frost. The children spent as much time as they could with Max, enjoying every moment of playfulness and love that he brought into their lives. One chilly morning, as they gathered for their daily adventure in the orchard, Ella gathered the children together. "I think it's time we made a decision about Max," she said, her voice warm and reassuring. "If no one has come for him by now, it's likely he's meant to be with you all." Lily's eyes sparkled with hope. "So, we can keep him?"
Ella nodded.
"Yes, if that's what you all want. But remember, caring for a pet is a big responsibility. You'll need to feed him, take him for walks, and make sure he's happy and healthy." Tom, Jamie, and Emma exchanged glances, their excitement bubbling over. "We can do it," they shouted in unison. Ella smiled at their enthusiasm. "All right then, let's make it official. From this day forward, Max will be a part of our family." The children cheered, hugging Max tightly, who wagged his tail and barked happily, as if he understood the joy of the moment. That day, they celebrated with a picnic in the orchard, complete with apple sandwiches and homemade cookies. Max frolicked around them, playing and wagging his tail, his joyful spirit infectious. As they sat together, sharing stories and laughter, the children couldn't help but feel that Max had always belonged with them. They had come together as a community, united by kindness and love, and now they had a new member to share it with. The magic of kindness continues. With Max officially part of their lives, the spirit of kindness in the village continued to flourish. The children took their responsibilities seriously, making sure Max was well cared for. They spent hours playing with him, teaching him tricks, and exploring the orchard together. One sunny afternoon, while they were enjoying a game of fetch, Mira came to visit. "Hello, my dear friends," she called, her warm smile lighting up the orchard. "I wanted to see how everyone is doing." "Look, Mira,"
The adopted Max.
Emma said, excitement radiating from her. "He's part of our family now." Mira knelt down to greet Max, who wagged his tail excitedly. "Well, aren't you a lucky little pup?" she said, petting him gently. "You've found a wonderful family." The children beamed with pride, happy to share their joy with Mira. "We've been taking care of him, and he makes us so happy," Lily exclaimed. Mira chuckled softly. "Kindness has a way of weaving hearts together, doesn't it? Max may have come into your lives by chance, but it's the love and care you've given him that has truly made him yours." As they sat together in the shade of the big oak tree, they discussed their plans for the upcoming winter. "We should have a winter celebration,"
Tom suggested.
"with hot cider and snowball fights." Myra's eyes twinkled with excitement. What a delightful idea. Celebrating the warmth of friendship and kindness during the cold winter months will bring everyone together. The children clapped their hands in delight, and they immediately began brainstorming ideas for the celebration. They would gather their favorite apple recipes, decorate the orchard with twinkling lights, and invite everyone in the village to join in the fun. The community's spirit grows stronger. As winter approached, the village buzzed with excitement. The spirit of kindness had transformed the community into a close-knit family, and everyone looked forward to the winter celebration. The children worked tirelessly to prepare, creating invitations and planning games that everyone could enjoy. The night before the celebration, Ella gathered the children around her, wanting to instill the importance of the event. "This is not just a party. It's a reminder of how kindness brings us all together," she said, her voice steady and warm. "No matter how cold it gets outside, the warmth of our friendships will keep us cozy." Max snuggled up beside them, sensing the importance of the occasion. The children listened intently, their hearts filled with anticipation. On the day of the winter celebration, the orchard was transformed into a winter wonderland. Twinkling lights hung from the branches, and colorful banners flapped gently in the chilly breeze. Ella prepared warm apple cider, and the aroma of cinnamon filled the air. The villagers arrived, bundled up in scarves and hats, and the laughter echoed through the orchard. They played games, shared delicious treats, and told stories around a crackling fire. Max joined in on the fun, wagging his tail as he played with the children and welcomed every guest. As the evening wore on, Mira stood up to speak. "Tonight, we celebrate the kindness that has blossomed in our hearts and in our village. Let us continue to nurture this spirit, making our community a better place for everyone." Ella raised her glass of cider, and the villagers followed suit, toasting to kindness, friendship, and the magic of their community. As the stars twinkled above, the children gathered around the fire, sharing stories of their adventures with Max. They spoke of the importance of kindness, how it had changed their lives, and how they would carry that message forward into the new year. The legacy of kindness. As winter settled in, the village embraced the warmth of togetherness. Max became the symbol of their kindness, a reminder that love can blossom even in the coldest of seasons. The orchard continued to thrive, nurtured by the care and love of Ella, Mira, and the children. The winter celebration became an annual tradition, growing larger with each passing year. Villagers would gather to share their stories and the spirit of kindness. New friendships blossomed, and the sense of community only grew stronger. The children often visited Ella and Mira, sharing ideas for their future celebrations. They would sit together under the big oak tree, brainstorming ways to spread kindness beyond their village. "Let's create a kindness club," Emma suggested one sunny afternoon. "We can do good deeds in our village and help those in need." "That's a wonderful idea," Lily agreed, her eyes shining with excitement. "We can spread kindness everywhere." With their hearts set on making a difference, the children formed the Kindness Club, rallying their friends and neighbors to join their mission. They organized community cleanups, helped elderly villagers with chores, and set up a sharing basket in the town square for those who needed food. Max, with his joyful spirit, became the unofficial mascot of the Kindness Club, inspiring everyone to join in their efforts. As they worked together, the village flourished with compassion, and kindness became the foundation of their community. The heart of the orchard. As seasons passed, Ella's orchard continued to thrive, becoming a place of joy and gathering. The once quiet orchard had transformed into a hub of activity, where laughter echoed among the trees and children played under the watchful eye of Max. One day, as Ella walked through the orchard, she marveled at how far they had come. The apples hung heavy on the branches, a symbol of the love and kindness that had taken root in their hearts. The orchard had become a sanctuary where villagers could come together, share their stories, and celebrate life. With the Kindness Club flourishing, Ella and the children decided to plan a special event to honor the spirit of giving. They called it the Harvest of Kindness, a day dedicated to helping others and spreading love throughout the village. The children enthusiastically prepared for the event, creating colorful posters and decorations. They invited villagers to join them in a day of service, where they could work together to improve their community. On the day of the harvest of kindness, the village was abuzz with activity. Families came together, rolling up their sleeves to help with various projects, planting flowers, painting fences, and cooking meals for those in need. Max pranced happily among them, his tail wagging as he greeted everyone. He brought smiles to their faces, reminding them that kindness is a simple act that can brighten someone's day. As the sun set on the day of service, the villagers gathered in the orchard for a potluck feast, celebrating their hard work. Laughter filled the air as they shared delicious food and stories of their day. Ella stood at the center of it all, her heart full of gratitude. "This is what kindness looks like," she said, raising her glass. "Together, we have created something beautiful. Let us continue to nurture this spirit, allowing it to grow and flourish in our hearts." A future full of kindness. The years rolled by, and the legacy of kindness continued to thrive in the village. The children grew, but the values they had learned in the orchard remained deep within their hearts. The Kindness Club evolved, welcoming new members and expanding its reach. Max grew older but remained an energetic companion, always by the side of the children, leading them in their acts of kindness. He had become a beloved figure in the village, a testament to the power of love and compassion. With the arrival of a new generation of children, Ella decided it was time to pass on her knowledge. She organized storytelling sessions in the orchard, inviting the villagers to gather and share their experiences of kindness and community. As they sat under the big oak tree, Ella recounted the journey of how kindness had transformed their lives. She spoke of the festival that sparked the change and the little acts of love that had grown into something beautiful. The children listened, their eyes wide with wonder, absorbing the magic of the stories. They could feel the warmth of kindness enveloping them, and they dreamed of continuing the legacy that had been built before them. In the years that followed, the village thrived, bound together by the invisible thread of kindness. The orchard became a place of inspiration, where generations gathered to celebrate love and compassion, reminding one another that the seeds of kindness could create a garden of hope. As Ella looked out over the orchard, she felt a sense of fulfillment. The spirit of kindness had taken root, blossoming into something extraordinary. It was a gift that would continue to grow, nurtured by the hearts of all those who believed in its power. And so, the village thrived, united in kindness, with Max always by their side. A reminder of how a simple act of love could create a legacy that would last a lifetime. Part 6. A Seed of Hope. As the winter season settled into the village, the air was crisp and cool. Snow blanketed the ground, and the orchard looked like a magical wonderland, with trees glistening under a layer of frost. The annual Harvest of Kindness celebration had been a success, and the village was now buzzing with excitement for the upcoming winter festivities. A new visitor arrives. One chilly morning, while the children were playing in the snow with Max, a sudden sound broke through their laughter. A loud knock echoed from the orchard gate. Curious, Lily ran over, her boots crunching through the fresh snow, followed closely by her friends. "Who could it be?" Tom asked, his eyes wide with wonder. As they approached the gate, they saw a figure standing there, bundled in a thick coat and scarf. It was a young girl, looking a bit lost but smiling brightly. Her cheeks were rosy from the cold, and her eyes sparkled with excitement. "Hello," she called out, her voice warm despite the chilly air.
I'm Emma.
"I just moved here with my family.
I'm Lily.
And this is Tom, Jamie, and Max." Lily replied, gesturing to her friends and the excited dog wagging his tail. Emma stepped closer, and the children could see she held a small basket filled with freshly baked cookies. "I brought some cookies for everyone," she announced, her smile contagious.
Wow.
"Thank you," Jamie exclaimed, his mouth watering at the sight of the treats. "You're going to love it here. We have so much fun." The children invited Emma into the orchard, and Max bounded around her, eager to make a new friend. They quickly introduced her to the magic of their winter celebrations, showing her how to build snowmen and make snow angels. The power of friendship. As they played in the snow, the children shared stories about the Kindness Club, the Harvest of Kindness, and their adventures with Max. Emma listened intently, her eyes growing wider with every tale. "Those sound amazing," Emma said. "I love that you all work together to help others. I want to be a part of that too." "Of course. You can join the Kindness Club," Lily offered excitedly. "We could use more friends." With that, the children agreed that they would all work together to include Emma in their plans for the winter celebration. The idea of making new traditions with their new friend filled them with joy, and they began brainstorming fun activities for the upcoming event. Planning the winter celebration. As the days passed, the children met regularly in the orchard, brainstorming ideas for the winter celebration. Max would often accompany them, bringing a sense of joy and playfulness to their meetings. One afternoon, while they were drawing plans in the snow, Emma suggested, "What if we create a kindness tree? We could write down our kind deeds on paper ornaments and hang them on the tree." "That's a great idea," Jamie exclaimed, "and we can ask the villagers to join in and share their own kind deeds." They all cheered, excited about the new idea. With Emma's fresh perspective, the plans for the celebration began to take shape, and everyone felt a renewed sense of purpose. Over the next few days, the children created colorful paper ornaments, decorating them with drawings and messages of kindness. They wrote down all the things they loved about their village and the people in it, and with every new ornament, the spirit of kindness blossomed further. Ella was thrilled to see the enthusiasm in the children and offered to help them gather materials for the celebration. Together, they decorated the orchard with twinkling lights and hung beautiful garlands made from pine cones, apples, and ribbons.
A snowy surprise.
As the winter celebration drew closer, the village was blanketed in a fresh layer of snow. The air was filled with the sweet scent of cinnamon and gingerbread, and the sound of laughter echoed through the trees. On the day before the celebration, as the children gathered to finish their preparations, a gentle snow began to fall. It swirled around them, creating a magical atmosphere that made everything feel even more special. "Look at the snowflakes," Emma laughed, catching them on her tongue. "It's like magic." Max, ever the playful pup, leaped into the snow, creating little paw prints as he raced around the orchard. The children joined him, throwing snowballs and giggling as they chased after him. Suddenly, Jamie spotted something shiny poking out of the snow. "What's that?" he asked, running over to investigate. The children followed him and discovered a small, sparkling object half buried in the snow. It was an old locket. They brushed the snow away and revealed its intricate design, a beautiful heart engraved on the surface.
Wow.
"This must belong to someone," Lily said, her curiosity piqued. "We should find out who it belongs to." The children agreed to take the locket to Ella, knowing she would help them uncover its mystery. The search for the locket's owner. When they arrived at Ella's house, she was in the kitchen, baking gingerbread cookies. The delightful aroma wafted through the air, and Ella looked up with a warm smile when she saw the children enter. "Hello, my little friends. What have you brought today?" she asked, noticing the excitement in their eyes. "We found this locket in the snow," Emma exclaimed, holding it up for Ella to see. "We want to find out who it belongs to." Ella took the locket gently, examining it closely. What a lovely find. Let's see if we can discover its owner. They all gathered around the table, and Ella opened the locket to find a tiny picture inside, an image of a woman with kind eyes and a soft smile. This must mean something special to someone, Ella said thoughtfully. Do you think it could belong to someone in the village? Tom wondered aloud. That's a good place to start, Ella replied. We can ask around and see if anyone recognizes her. The children quickly jumped into action, their excitement palpable. They decided to visit some of the older villagers who might remember the woman in the picture. Visiting the villagers. The first stop was Mrs. Thompson's bakery. The sweet smell of freshly baked bread wafted through the door as they entered, and Mrs. Thompson looked up from her work, her face lighting up when she saw the children. Hello, darlings. What brings you here on this lovely snowy day? She asked, wiping her flour-dusted hands on her apron. We found this locket in the snow, Lily explained, holding it out for Mrs. Thompson to see. Do you recognize the woman inside? Mrs. Thompson squinted, examining the locket carefully.
Why, yes.
That looks like a picture of Clara, my dear friend from years ago. She used to live in this village many moons ago. Do you know how we can find her? Emma asked eagerly. I'm afraid Clara moved away long ago, Mrs. Thompson said, her voice tinged with nostalgia. But she always spoke fondly of her time here. If you'd like, I could tell you some stories about her. She had the biggest heart and always cared for others. The children gathered around Mrs. Thompson as she shared memories of Clara's kindness, her laughter, and how she often helped organize community events. They were enthralled, feeling inspired by the tales of the past. Let's continue our search, Tom said, energized by the stories. Maybe someone else might know how to reach her. The journey continues. The children visited several more villagers, each one adding to the stories of Clara's kindness and the impact she had made in the village. They learned that Clara had a small garden filled with the most beautiful flowers, which she often shared with others. As they spoke to the villagers, they felt a deep connection to Clara, even though they had never met her. They were inspired to ensure that her spirit of kindness would live on in the community. After a long day of searching, they returned to Ella's house, their hearts full of stories and hope. We didn't find Clara, Jamie said, a hint of disappointment in his voice. But we learned so much about her. That's right, Ella said gently. Even though you didn't find her, you've carried her spirit with you. The kindness she shared in the past is reflected in all of you. Inspired by their journey, the children decided they wanted to honor Clara during the upcoming winter celebration. We should create a special ornament in her memory, Lily suggested. We can hang it on the kindness tree. That's a lovely idea.
Ella en querid.
We can even write a little note to Clara about the kindness that continues in this village. The children excitedly agreed, and together, they crafted a beautiful ornament, a delicate snowflake made from paper, adorned with flowers and decorations that symbolized Clara's love for nature. The winter celebration. The day of the winter celebration arrived, and the orchard was transformed into a winter wonderland. The kindness tree stood tall, adorned with beautiful paper ornaments crafted by the children and villagers alike, each one telling a story of love and compassion. As families arrived, they were greeted by the delightful aroma of freshly baked treats and the warmth of the bonfire crackling in the background. Laughter and joy filled the air as children played and adults caught up with old friends. Max wagged his tail excitedly, running from person to person, receiving pets and love from everyone. He had become a beloved member of the community, and his spirit brought a sense of warmth to the chilly day. When it was time for the special moment, the children gathered around the kindness tree, clutching the ornament they had created for Clara. Ella stood beside them, her heart swelling with pride. Today, we celebrate not only the kindness that binds us together, but also the memory of Clara, who inspired so many, Ella announced, her voice filled with warmth. Let's hang this ornament on the tree to honor her spirit and the love she shared with our village. The children stepped forward, their eyes sparkling with excitement, and carefully placed the ornament on the tree. It shimmered in the winter light, a beautiful reminder of the kindness that had flourished throughout the years. A magical moment. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the orchard, a hush fell over the crowd. Ella took a moment to reflect on how far they had come, how kindness had transformed their community, and how it would continue to thrive. "Let's make a wish for Clara and for all the kindness that surrounds us," she said softly. The children closed their eyes, and everyone joined in, sending their thoughts into the gentle breeze. Just then, a soft breeze rustled the branches of the kindness tree, and a single snowflake drifted down, landing gently on the children's hands. It felt like a magical moment, a sign that Clara's spirit was present among them, watching over their kindness and love. The villagers erupted in applause and cheers, celebrating the bond they had created. They spent the evening sharing stories, enjoying delicious food, and singing songs that echoed through the orchard. Max danced around the children, barking happily, spreading joy with every wag of his tail. It was a night filled with laughter, love, and the spirit of community, just as Clara would have wanted. A legacy of kindness. As the winter celebration drew to a close, the villagers gathered together for one last moment. Ella looked around, her heart full of gratitude and joy. "This is what kindness looks like," she said, her voice steady yet emotional. "Together, we have created something beautiful. Let us continue to nurture this spirit, allowing it to grow and flourish in our hearts." The children looked up at the kindness tree, now sparkling with the stories of kindness woven into each ornament. They felt the warmth of friendship enveloping them, knowing that they had created a legacy that would last for generations to come. As they packed up the decorations and prepared to go home, Emma turned to her new friends. "I'm so glad I found you all. This village feels like home now." "Welcome home, Emma," Lily replied, pulling her into a warm embrace. "We're so glad you're part of our family." And so, the spirit of kindness continued to thrive in the village, blossoming like the flowers in Clara's garden, nurtured by the love and care of those who believed in its power.
The orchard.
Stood as a symbol of hope, reminding everyone that even the smallest acts of kindness could create ripples of joy that spread far and wide. Part 7. The Blossoming of Kindness. As the winter celebration came to a close, the village was infused with a sense of warmth and togetherness that lingered in the air. The spirit of kindness that had flourished throughout the celebration transformed the lives of the villagers, binding them closer together and igniting a newfound desire to continue spreading love and compassion. A new beginning. As spring approached, the snow melted away, revealing a world bursting with life. The orchard, once blanketed in white, began to awaken, with blossoms blooming on the apple trees and the scent of fresh grass filling the air. The children could hardly contain their excitement as they stepped outside, ready to embrace the joys of the new season. "Look at all the flowers," Lily exclaimed, pointing to the vibrant colors sprouting in the orchard. "It's like magic." Emma twirled in delight, her laughter ringing through the air. "I love spring. Everything feels so alive." With the arrival of spring came new adventures. The children decided to plant a garden in the orchard, a place where they could grow flowers and vegetables to share with the villagers. Inspired by Clara's love for gardening, they gathered their tools and set to work, determined to create something beautiful. The Garden of Kindness. Under the warm sun, The children dug and planted seeds, their laughter echoing as they worked together. They chose a variety of flowers: sunflowers, daisies, and pansies, each one symbolizing a different aspect of kindness. Alongside the flowers, they planted carrots, tomatoes, and herbs, hoping to share the fruits of their labor with everyone in the village. "This will be the garden of kindness," Jamie declared, wiping sweat from his brow. "Every time we harvest something, we can share it with someone in need." "That's a wonderful idea," Emma cheered, her enthusiasm infectious. "We can make it a tradition to gather here and plant seeds every spring." As the days passed, the garden began to flourish, and with it, so did the children's bond. They spent countless afternoons tending to the plants, watering them, and ensuring they received enough sunlight. Each time they saw new sprouts breaking through the soil, they felt a surge of joy and accomplishment. A challenge arises. However, one afternoon, as they gathered to check on their garden, they noticed something troubling. Several of their plants had been trampled, and some had even been uprooted. Concerned, the children huddled together, trying to figure out what had happened. "Who could have done this?" Tom asked, frustration evident in his voice. "We worked so hard." Emma knelt beside a crushed flower, her eyes welling with tears. "I don't know, but it feels unfair. We were just trying to do something kind." "Maybe it was an accident," Lily suggested gently. "Sometimes people don't realize how their actions affect others." "But we need to find out what happened," Jamie insisted. "We can't let this continue. Our garden is supposed to be a place of kindness." Determined to protect their beloved garden, the children decided to investigate. They spent the afternoon searching for clues, looking for signs of who or what could have caused the damage. The mystery unfolds. After examining the area closely, they discovered tiny paw prints leading away from the garden. "Look," Jamie pointed excitedly. "These paw prints could belong to an animal. Maybe that's why our plants got trampled." The children followed the trail of paw prints, which led them to a small clearing at the edge of the orchard. There, they found a little brown puppy, shivering and alone. The puppy's fur was matted, and it looked scared and hungry. "Oh no," Lily exclaimed, kneeling down to the puppy's level. "Poor thing. It must have been lost and stumbled into our garden." Emma crouched beside her, gently reaching out her hand. "Hey there, little buddy. It's okay. You're safe now." The puppy looked up at them with big, sad eyes, and after a moment of hesitation, it approached, sniffing cautiously at their hands. "Let's take him back to the orchard," Jamie suggested, his heart swelling with compassion. "He needs our help."
A decision to make.
The children carefully scooped up the puppy, who wagged its tail tentatively as they carried it back to their garden. They named the puppy Buddy, feeling an instant connection to him. As they settled down in the sun, they gave him some water and shared their sandwiches, ensuring he felt welcomed and loved. "We can't just leave him out here," Emma said, looking at her friends earnestly. "He needs a home." "But we can't keep him," Tom replied, his voice tinged with sadness. "We have Max already, and he's our responsibility." "Maybe we can find Buddy a home in the village," Lily suggested. "We could ask around to see if anyone is looking for a dog. There must be someone who would love him." The children agreed, and they decided to put up a sign in the village offering Buddy for adoption. They felt hopeful that their new furry friend would find a loving family. Spreading the word. The next day, armed with their colorful sign, the children set off to the village. They knocked on doors, sharing Buddy's story and showing off the sweet puppy who had won their hearts. They were met with warm smiles and sympathetic nods, and many villagers expressed their desire to help. "Such a sweet little thing," Mrs. Thompson exclaimed when she saw Buddy. I'd take him in a heartbeat, but I already have my hands full with my bakery. But I'm sure there's someone out there looking for a puppy, Ella reassured them. Let's spread the word. As the sun began to set, the children returned to the orchard, their spirits high despite not having found a home for Buddy yet. They felt a sense of community that made their hearts swell with hope. An unexpected visitor. A few days later, as the children gathered to tend to their garden, they were surprised to see a familiar face approaching them. It was Mr. Jenkins, an older gentleman from the village, known for his love of animals. "Good afternoon, children," he called out cheerfully as he walked up to them. "I heard about the puppy you found, and I just had to come and see him." Buddy, now comfortable and playful, bounded over to greet Mr. Jenkins, wagging his tail energetically. The children watched with bated breath as Mr. Jenkins crouched down, extending his hand for Buddy to sniff. "What a lovely boy you are," Mr. Jenkins said with a chuckle, petting Buddy affectionately. "I've been looking for a companion to keep me company at home." The children exchanged excited glances, feeling a spark of hope. "Do you want to take him home?" Emma asked, her voice barely containing her excitement. "If it's all right with you, I would love to," Mr. Jenkins replied, a warm smile spreading across his face. "I could use a bit of joy in my life, and I think Buddy here would fit right in." A new home for Buddy. With happy tears in their eyes, the children eagerly agreed to let Mr. Jenkins adopt Buddy. They quickly gathered Buddy's toys and a small blanket, giving him everything he would need for his new home. "Thank you for giving Buddy a loving home," Lily said, her voice filled with gratitude. "You've done a wonderful thing, children," Mr. Jenkins replied, beaming with appreciation. "You've shown kindness not only to this puppy, but to each other as well. Keep spreading that kindness." As Mr. Jenkins led Buddy away, the children felt a mix of emotions: joy for their furry friend and a sense of accomplishment for having made a difference. They returned to their garden, feeling a sense of unity and purpose as they continued to nurture the plants they had sown. The garden flourishes. As the days turned into weeks, the garden flourished more than ever. The children worked diligently, watering the plants and pulling weeds, and soon their efforts were rewarded. Bright flowers bloomed and vegetables grew, promising a bountiful harvest. One afternoon, as they gathered to pick their first batch of ripe tomatoes, they heard laughter and chatter coming from the village. Curious, they ran toward the sound, their hearts racing with excitement. "What's happening?" Emma asked as they approached a group of villagers gathered in the town square. "I heard there's going to be a community picnic," Jamie exclaimed, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. "We should definitely be a part of it." As the children joined the gathering crowd, they learned that the village had organized a picnic to celebrate the arrival of spring. The villagers wanted to come together to enjoy food, games, and laughter, strengthening the bonds they had created during the winter celebration. Preparing for the picnic. The children quickly sprang into action, excited to contribute to the picnic. They decided to bring the first harvest from their garden of kindness to share with everyone. They picked fresh tomatoes, herbs, and flowers, planning to create a beautiful salad that would highlight their hard work. "Let's make a big bowl of salad to share," Lily suggested, her face lighting up with enthusiasm. "We can use the flowers to make it pretty." They set to work, washing the vegetables and tossing them together with the vibrant flowers. As they prepared the salad, they felt a sense of pride in their contribution, knowing it would bring joy to everyone at the picnic. The picnic begins. On the day of the picnic, the orchard was transformed into a lively gathering place. Villagers set up tables, blankets, and decorations, and the air was filled with the sounds of laughter and cheerful chatter. The children felt their hearts swell with happiness as they looked around at the smiling faces. "Let's find a spot for our salad," Emma exclaimed, clutching the bowl carefully. They found a perfect spot under a big, shady tree and set down their salad, feeling excited to share their creation with everyone. As the picnic began, villagers came by, filling their plates with delicious food, sharing stories and laughter. Max, now a beloved member of the community, dashed around, wagging his tail and accepting treats from the children and adults alike. He had grown into a charming and playful dog, loved by everyone who knew him. A heartfelt gesture. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with hues of pink and orange, Mr. Jenkins approached the children, a smile on his face. He held a plate piled high with food, a generous portion of the picnic spread. "I wanted to thank you for bringing Buddy into my life," he said, kneeling down to their level. "He's brought so much joy to my home. I'm grateful to each of you for showing kindness to him." The children beamed with pride, happy to see their efforts rewarded. "We're so glad you two are happy together," Jamie replied, his voice filled with warmth. "I brought something special for you all," Mr. Jenkins continued, revealing a small basket filled with fresh fruits from his garden. "These are for your garden of kindness, as a thank you for the wonderful gift of Buddy." The children felt touched by his generosity. They knew that kindness was not only about giving but also about receiving graciously, and they were grateful for Mr. Jenkins' thoughtful gesture. The legacy of kindness continues. As the picnic wound down and the stars began to twinkle overhead, the children gathered around a small fire pit, roasting marshmallows and sharing stories. Laughter echoed in the night as they recounted their favorite moments from the past months. "This is the best spring ever," Emma exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. "I can't believe how much we've done together." "From finding Buddy to planting the garden, it's all been so special," Lily added, her heart swelling with joy. "We've created something beautiful." Ella, who had been quietly listening, nodded in agreement. "And it's just the beginning. We can keep this spirit of kindness alive, no matter what happens. It's like planting seeds. If we nurture them, they'll grow into something wonderful." The children reflected on the journey they had taken, the challenges they had faced, the friendships they had built, and the kindness they had shared. They knew that as long as they continued to spread love and compassion, their garden and their village would thrive. The promise of tomorrow. As the fire crackled and the stars shone brightly, the children made a pact to continue their mission of kindness. They vowed to return to the garden each spring, to plant new seeds, and to always remember the importance of sharing and caring for one another. "Let's make this a tradition," Jamie suggested, raising a marshmallow on a stick, as if it were a trophy. "Every spring, we'll come together to plant seeds and share kindness." The others cheered in agreement, their hearts united in purpose. They felt a sense of belonging and fulfillment, knowing they had created something that would last beyond their time in the orchard. And so, as the night grew darker and the laughter faded into the cool breeze, the spirit of kindness continued to flourish in the hearts of the children and the villagers. The orchard stood as a living testament to their commitment, a symbol of hope and love that would guide them for generations to come. Part 8. A celebration of kindness. As the blossoms in the orchard burst into vibrant colors, the village prepared for the annual spring festival, an event that brought everyone together in celebration of the season's renewal and the spirit of community. This year, the children were more excited than ever, especially since they had so much to share about their garden of kindness and the adventures they had embarked on together. Preparations for the festival. In the weeks leading up to the festival, the villagers worked tirelessly to prepare. Colorful banners were strung from tree to tree, and stalls were set up for games, crafts, and delicious food. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation as everyone contributed their unique talents to make the event special. "We should have a special display for our garden of kindness," Emma suggested one afternoon while the children gathered in the orchard, brainstorming ideas for the festival. That's a fantastic idea. Lily agreed, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. We can show everyone what we've grown and explain how kindness has blossomed in our village. Let's create a booth where we can invite people to join us in planting flowers. Jamie added, we can give away seeds and encourage them to start their own kindness gardens. The children felt a surge of excitement as they planned their booth, dreaming of the joy it would bring to others. They gathered colorful pots, soil, and seeds, eager to share their passion for kindness and gardening with the village. The day of the festival. As the day of the spring festival arrived, the sun shone brightly, bathing the orchard in a warm glow. Families arrived early, their laughter mingling with the scent of fresh blossoms and baked goods wafting through the air. Children ran around, their faces painted with vibrant colors, while adults exchanged stories and smiles. Ella, wearing a flower crown made of daisies, welcomed everyone to the festival. Today, we celebrate not only the beauty of spring, but also the kindness that has flourished in our hearts and our community, she announced, her voice ringing with joy. Let's spread love, share joy, and remember the power of coming together. The children eagerly set up their booth, carefully arranging pots filled with soil and seeds, ready to inspire others to join in their mission of kindness. They decorated their area with flowers from their garden, creating a colorful display that caught the attention of everyone passing by. Sharing kindness. As the festival kicked off, villagers flocked to the children's booth, intrigued by the idea of planting kindness gardens. Emma and her friends eagerly explained the importance of kindness and how it could grow in their lives, just like the flowers in the garden. Every seed you plant is a symbol of kindness, Jamie explained, handing out small packets of seeds. When you nurture it, it will bloom and spread joy to those around you. Let's plant some flowers together, Lily suggested, inviting the excited children to join them at their booth. With laughter and giggles, the children dug their hands into the soil, planting seeds side by side. One by one, families joined in, and the atmosphere buzzed with energy and excitement. The children felt a sense of pride as they witnessed the seeds of kindness spreading beyond their orchard and into the hearts of others. An unexpected encounter. As the day continued, the children noticed a figure lingering near the edge of the festival. It was a boy, looking somewhat shy and hesitant. His clothes were slightly tattered, and he stood alone, watching the festivities with wide eyes. "Who's that?" Emma asked, concern etched on her face. "He looks lonely." "Maybe he'd like to join us," Lily suggested. "We should invite him over." With determination, the children approached the boy. "Hi there. I'm Emma, and these are my friends," she said, her voice warm and inviting. "Would you like to join us in planting some flowers?" The boy looked surprised, his eyes lighting up with hope. "Really? You want me to?" he replied, glancing at the colorful booth filled with laughter and joy. "Of course," Jamie chimed in. "We'd love to have you." As they welcomed the boy into their circle, he slowly began to smile, joining in the fun of planting flowers. The children shared their stories and laughter, making him feel accepted and included. The power of connection. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the orchard, the children noticed how much the boy had opened up. He introduced himself as Oliver and shared that he had just moved to the village with his family. "I was nervous about coming here," Oliver admitted, glancing at the lively festival. "I didn't know anyone, and I thought I would feel out of place." "You're not alone anymore," Lily reassured him. "We're all friends here. You belong with us." Oliver's eyes sparkled with gratitude, and he felt a warmth in his heart that he hadn't experienced in a long time. He joined in the festivities, playing games, laughing with the other children, and, most importantly, feeling like he had finally found a place to call home. The spirit of community. As the festival continued, the villagers came together to enjoy a delicious feast filled with homemade dishes and treats. Families gathered around long tables, sharing stories and laughter, their hearts united by the spirit of community. Ella, standing before the crowd, proposed a toast. Let's celebrate the kindness we've shared and the connections we've made. May we always remember the importance of coming together and spreading love in our village. The villagers raised their glasses, echoing her sentiment. To kindness and community, they cheered, their voices harmonizing in joyful unity. The children, sitting with Oliver and their friends, felt a sense of belonging wash over them. They had not only nurtured their garden of kindness, but also helped others to find their own paths of love and friendship. A special surprise. As the evening progressed, the villagers decided to host a talent show, inviting everyone to share their unique skills and talents. The children felt a rush of excitement as they gathered on the makeshift stage, eager to showcase their gardening project and the journey they had embarked upon together. With the stars twinkling above, they presented a colorful display of flowers and vegetables from their garden of kindness. They shared stories of how they found Buddy, planted seeds of kindness, and the adventures they had experienced throughout the seasons. The villagers listened intently, their hearts filled with admiration for the children's passion and creativity. After their presentation, they received a standing ovation, and the atmosphere resonated with pride and joy. A promise for the future. As the night drew to a close, the children gathered once more around the fire pit, reflecting on the day's events. Oliver sat among them, his heart brimming with happiness. "This was the best day ever," he exclaimed, his face glowing with excitement. "I never thought I'd feel so welcomed in a new place." "You're part of our family now," Jamie said, his eyes shining. "We'll keep planting seeds of kindness together." Emma smiled at Oliver. "And next year, we can have an even bigger garden of kindness. We'll make sure everyone in the village has a place to grow their own kindness." As they gazed up at the starlit sky, the children felt a sense of hope and possibility for the future. They had learned that kindness could flourish in the hearts of all, and together, they could create a legacy that would inspire others. The legacy continues. In the days that followed the spring festival, the spirit of kindness continued to thrive in the village. Oliver became an integral part of the group, and together, they planted more seeds, shared more kindness, and helped each other grow. They made it a tradition to meet at the orchard every spring, not only to plant flowers but also to create new memories, fostering friendships that would last a lifetime. With every seed they planted, they nurtured a garden filled with love, compassion, and joy. Ella often watched the children from a distance, her heart swelling with pride as she witnessed the impact of their efforts. She knew that kindness was a seed planted in each person's heart, and it could grow into something beautiful when nurtured with love and care. The orchard became a symbol of hope, reflecting the beauty of community and the importance of coming together. It stood as a reminder that no matter how challenging life may become, the bonds of kindness would always prevail. The circle of kindness. As the seasons changed and years passed, the village thrived with the spirit of kindness that had taken root in the hearts of its residents. The Garden of Kindness became a cherished landmark, a place where children played, friendships blossomed, and stories were shared. Every spring, the villagers would gather to celebrate their shared commitment to kindness, creating new traditions and fostering a sense of belonging. They remembered Clara's legacy, ensuring that her spirit lived on in their actions and in the love they shared with one another. The children, now growing up, took it upon themselves to continue spreading kindness beyond the village, inspiring others to join their mission. They visited neighboring towns, sharing their story of love, friendship, and the importance of community. A final gathering. One warm spring afternoon, the villagers decided to host a final gathering in the orchard to celebrate all they had accomplished together. They set up a beautiful picnic under the kindness tree, where everyone could share their experiences and dreams for the future. As they gathered, Ella stood up to address the crowd, her heart filled with gratitude. Today, we come together to celebrate not only our garden of kindness, but also the relationships we've built over the years. Kindness has the power to change lives, and I am so proud of each one of you for nurturing that spirit in our village. The children smiled at one another, knowing they had made a difference. They had planted seeds of kindness that had grown into a magnificent garden, enriching the lives of everyone around them. A new beginning. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the orchard, the villagers raised their glasses to toast to the future, to kindness, friendship, and the legacy we leave behind. The children looked around at the familiar faces, feeling a sense of belonging that filled their hearts with joy. They had learned that kindness was a journey that never truly ended. It would continue to flourish and grow as long as they nurtured it. And so, they promised to carry the spirit of kindness with them, no matter where life took them. They knew that they were part of something much larger than themselves, a community bound by love and compassion, forever blooming in the garden of life.
Whispering echoes.